Hey there, John E. Davis from the Texas Guitar School and TexasGuitarLessons.com. Today is going to be the fourth in a 5-part series talking about pentatonic shapes. And in today's clip, what we're going to do is review the Phrygian and Mixolydian pentatonic shapes and how they connect in relation to your root shape. We're going to do some repetitive pattern exercises, and then we're going to put together some licks over these shapes, and let's get started. Okay, so to get started with this clip number 4 today, talking about these 2 final pentatonic shapes, we'll do a little classroom slide as we've done with the others. Just a quick review here. We have a B minor root scale, B being the root, and again this is a 5-note pentatonic pattern derived from the diatonic scale. If you want to know how we got these notes, please review clip number 2 talking about the root scale and the diatonic scale that it comes from. The 2 new scales for today, the last 2, are scales 4 and 5. In this particular case, these are going to start with F sharp and A out of our root scale. Phrygian scale is going to start on F sharp, simply bringing this down, wrapping the A in with it, and bringing our B, D, and E and sticking it in behind it, giving us a 5-note pattern that looks like this. The 5th and final scale starts with A, comes down here, and we're going to take the B, D, and E and the F sharp, and we're simply just going to bring it down and wrap it in between. It's going to give us the Mixolydian scale, which is going to start on A. So that's going to complete our scales for today. Ultimately, what you're going to have is 5 scales that start on each of these intervals. And again, the dots and the diagrams on the scale shapes are only these 5 notes mapped out across the entire fretboard. And as long as we don't play anything that is outside of this box, unless it's a specific accent note, we are guaranteed to play in key as long as we move the starting note to the right place on string 6. Okay, so to begin with here, we're going to do a review of our B minor root shape, and again this is a sequential clip, this clip 4 that we're doing this afternoon, talking about our last 2 pentatonic shapes. So be sure to review the other ones first, because we're going to move through this pretty quick using the same fingering exercises that we've done before in the past. Okay, so take finger 1 and you're going to bring it to fret 7, string 6. And again, this is a review of your B minor root shape. Your pinky is going to go on fret 10, which is D. We're going to use this fingering 1 finger per fret straight down the fretboard, just like we've done with the other clips. So here we go. 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 4. Again, slow. We have 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 4. Okay, so now that we've looked at our slide telling us how the origins of these final 2 shapes, where they come from, and how they are in relation to our root shape, what we're going to do is we're going to divide the fretboard in half in terms of organizing the notes. What the 2 dots represent here on your fretboard is the beginning of the 2nd octave. Think of the 2 dots here in the middle of your fretboard on fret 12 is just a new nut that you have up here. So that means that all of the notes that are started or have the tonality of the nut are also repeated on fret 12, the double dots. That's what the 2 dots represent, means the starting of the next octave. So what that means is the notes that you have between the nut and fret 12 are going to be exactly the same from fret 12 on down your fretboard. Okay? So shape 4 that we're going to learn, scale 4, is the Phrygian shape, which is going to start on F sharp. Okay? And again, we're going to use our fingering that we used before, 1 finger per fret, straight down the fretboard. Okay? So we're going to have F sharp, which is here, and our pinky is going to go on fret 5, which is A. So your first finger is fret 2, string 6, F sharp. And your pinky is going to go to fret 5, string 6, which is A. One finger per fret, straight down the fretboard. Here we go. 1, 4. 1, 4. 1, 3. 1, 3. 2, 4. 1, 4. Again, starting with fret 2. 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 3, 2, 4, 1, 4. Okay, so this fifth and final pentatonic shape is going to be Mixolydian, which is a major tonality. This particular case, we're going to start on the interval of A, which is one of the 5 notes from our pentatonic scale. And don't forget, the shape that you see in the bottom corner of your screen down here, that just gives you the fingerings, but don't forget, if we were to actually assign notes to those little holes, those would be only the notes of the pentatonic scale in B minor. The beauty of this, learning this pattern or this system of scales, is that all you have to do is move your root shape to any of the keys between the nut and fret 12, and you're guaranteed to play in any key. Just keep the shapes in that order. They're in a locked shape. Play them in the right order at the right place, and you can play in key and solo in any key as long as you play the shapes in the right order. That's a key concept. Okay, Mixolydian. Here we go. Now we're going to use a 1-4, 1-4, 1-4, 2-4, 2-4, 2-4 type shape. Finger 2 this time is going to start on fret 5, string 6, and your fourth finger is going to be on your B root there, which is fret 7, okay, string 6. Again, one finger per fret. We're going to roll straight down the fretboard, starting with A. That's going to give us 2, 4, 2, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4. One more time, starting with A. Pinky's on B, fret 7. One more time. 2, 4, 2, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4. If you were to play that same shape on fret 17, past the double dots representing the next octave, that would give you 2, 4, 2, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4. First finger would go on 17, pinky would go on 19, string 6. That would give us 2, 4, 2, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4. So if you were to play them in order starting with B, and we were to mask off the fretboard, and again, these shapes are locked in this order always. They never change their order. They're locked in this order, progressive down the fretboard, and then wrap around and come back and resolve on the other side of nut. Okay, so that would give us a scale that starts with B, a scale that starts with D, a scale that starts with E, a scale that starts with F sharp, and the last one would start with A. Those would be starting places for all 5 of your pentatonic shapes, giving you a board that looks like this. And all of your shapes would be in here, locked in that order. Consequently, if we go behind it, we would have 2 scales that we could play, which we're going to use this afternoon. One that starts on F sharp, and the other one starts on A. So just think of this fretboard as a circular pattern that rolls like this, and it goes down the fretboard and rolls around and comes back. The middle point, the root, the starting scale, is where you're going to start to play your solos in any key, as long as you move that minor root shape in a minor key anywhere along the fretboard between the nut and fret 12. Alright, so in video clip 3, the previous one to this one, we talked about using repetitive finger shapes in order to make your soloing efficient. We're going to do the same thing here. We'll look at these shapes one at a time. Okay. So in the shape in behind our B minor root is Mixolydian, which starts on A. And we had a 1-3-1-3 shape that we looked at here in our root shape, here in Ionian major, and here in Dorian, and we did some speed licks. Okay. That same type of shape repeats itself 2 places in Mixolydian. The top shape here, using frets 7 and 5 on, on strings 5 and 6, gives you a top shape with that repetitive pattern, which is this. And that same pattern repeats itself here in the bottom, 5, 7, 5, 7 on the bottom string. Okay, so that gives you, okay, which is the same 1, 3, 1, 3 pattern that we used for our speed lick in the last video. Okay. So again, 5, 7, 5, 7, strings 5 and 6. And the same pattern repeats itself here in the bottom, 1, 3, 1, 3 pattern on strings 1 and 2. So you have, so I'll give you this grouping. Okay, so the second part of this fingering is that in video clip number 3, we also had a 1-4-1-4 fingering pattern. Okay, so the 1-4-1-4 fingering pattern is common in our root shape here at the bottom, and we looked at how that fingering pattern was common in the same type of idea in Ionian major. Same type of grouping with the 1-4-1-4 fingering, same spacing of the frets. Now in shapes or scales 4 and 5 that we learned this afternoon, this repetitive 1-4-1-4 shape sets up nice and is common between these two shapes as well. So if we were to group these using the octave, what we would have is this repetitive 1-4-1-4 pattern. It'd be on the bottom two strings here in your root shape. In shape 5, you'd have it here in the middle two strings. And in shape 4, you'd have it on the top two strings here. Right? So it would give you this grouping. All right, again, we'd have. Okay, so here we see the repetitive pattern of the 1-4-1-4 fingering. Two string groupings straight up, going backwards via the octaves. In the two new scales, scales 4 and 5, your 4 and 5 pentatonic shapes. Okay, so we have two fingerings here, two fingering here, two fingering here. All right. So again, we'd have 7, 10, strings 1 and 2, 4 and 7, frets strings 3 and 4, and 2, 5, 2, 5, strings 6 and 5. So again, one more time, we'd have. And again, we're doing two string groupings straight down the fretboard in the middle and at the top of these two new shapes. Okay, so let's get to some licks now using our two new shapes, Phrygian and Mixolydian, for today, starting on F sharp and A on string 6, scales 4 and 5. Okay, so what I'm going to do is a 4-string grouping using the bottom of shape number 5, or scale number 5. Now I'm going to use 4 strings coming up from the bottom. Okay, this is the connector shape in behind our root shape. Okay, so I'm going to use fingers 4 and 2, just like we did to start with. Okay, I'm going to come straight up. I'm going to resolve this lick or this fingering to this B root here. One thing as a beginner that you want to try to do is to try to resolve your licks to the root over chord change. That will give the licks harmony. Okay, so coming down, we're going to have these fingerings: 4, 2, 4, 2, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4 root. Okay, so coming up, we're going to have this. And there's the B again. Mixolydians using fret 5 coming up. 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, 4, 7, 4, 7, 4, resolved to the root on string 3. Here we go. Alright, so that's going to give us our shape. Okay, so now we're going to talk about some accent notes and how to get a little style into that playing. And again, this is connected to our root shape. So what I'm going to introduce is what's called the flattened fifth, or a flat 5, and this is a George Lynch trademark to his sound. Right? So what George Lynch does, his approach is he uses the same pentatonic shapes that we all do. What he does is he adds sharps and flats to the sound, resolving his licks to the root. The reason why he would do this is because he doesn't want to sound like everybody else. Everybody else has been using these pentatonic shapes over and over and over and over again. So to distinguish yourself from everybody else, this is an idea you should consider. Now, so in this particular case, we're going to take the fifth, which is F sharp, which we know from our pentatonic slide that we started with. I'm going to drop this back a half step and flatten it to F, which in this particular case is fret 6, string 2. Okay? I'm going to stick that right in the middle of my scale 5 shape. Okay? So I'm going to introduce a new fingering now. 7 5 7 6 5 7 4 7 4 7 4 root. All right, so it's going to give me a new scale that looks like this. Again. All right, now, how I'm going to accent that is I'm going to start with my root shape. And I'm going to use fingers or fret 7 10s on string 2. All right. And I'm going to do a hammer pull and hang on that flattened fifth out of my root shape. So I'm going to go. I use a little rake there on the strings to pull off and resolved that lick to that flat 5. Then I'm going to use the scale, other piece, fingering in order to resolve it. So coming up. There's resolve to B. Okay? So it's going to give me the second half of the lick is going to sound something like this. And all I'm doing there is adding some hammers and pulls, which we've had from the lesson clip number 3. We did all of those exercises already. We did that speed lick and the sliding lick from the previous video clip. Okay, so I'm just going to do some hammers and pulls there to give a little flash. So yeah. Okay, so you combine those two ideas, gives you this. 2 independent licks. Lick 1. Lick 2. Okay, so let's get to a lick out of the Phrygian shape, which is, again starts on fret 2, string 6. And what this shape is pretty much known for is what's known as the Arpeggio shape, because it gives you a nice arpeggio fingering down here at the bottom, and it's nice for giving up bends. So in video clip number 2, talking about our minor pentatonic root shape, we did a bending lick a la Michael Shanker. Okay, so we have the same idea here that we're going to do, but we're going to do what's called a compound bend out of this arpeggio shape. So the first part of this lick is you're going to take fingers 1, 2, and 3 and put them on frets 2, 3, and 4 out of that shape number 4, Phrygian. So you're going to have this at the bottom. Yeah. So again, we're going to have 2, 3, 4, frets 2, 3, and 4, fingers 1, 2, and 3 out of the bottom of that shape. Right. Then we're going to have a pull on fret 5, bottom string. So we have. All right. So the basic idea there is that we're going to pull this at the bottom. Again. Now if you rake that a little bit with your fingers, taking the pick, flattening your hand against the strings and giving you a little rake action, okay, it will give you the pull up. example there, that shape is really known for that arpeggio. That gives you a chordal voice triad there with a rake pick and pull off on string 5 using all 4 fingers. Alright, so another lick out of shape 4, the Phrygian shape. Here at the bottom we've got an opportunity for what's called a compound whole step bend, which is really nice out of this shape. Okay. So notice that at the bottom of this shape, if we were to cover fret 5, strings 1 and 2, we have a very nice whole step bend exactly 2 frets up. Those 2 notes are available to us from the next shape, shape 5. We started with our 2-4-2-4 shape, okay, which coincidentally will go right in behind the root. Okay. So if we take these 2 notes here, which in this particular case are E and A out of our minor pentatonic in B minor, we could have a whole step bend that would bend up and match the notes of the bottom of shape 5. Okay, so that gives us all kinds of nice bending opportunities. Now in video clip number 2 we did a Michael Shanker style lick where we're doing a whole step bend and grabbing the note underneath, that kind of thing, right? So we have the same idea here. If we do a whole step bend out of shape 4, okay, that's taking E and bending it up to this tonal quality of F sharp. So fret that a little bit there. That's where we're bending to. Now we could grab A underneath. Okay, so what I'm doing there is I'm taking E here and I'm bending it up a whole step to the sound of F sharp, and I'm grabbing the A underneath. Okay, that gives you one more time. Giving you a little vibrato at the end. Okay, the second part of this Michael Shanker bending style lick that we used from video clip number 2, and we did it out of our root shape. Right? If we take the same idea and we grab A underneath, and we could take them and we do a double string whole step bend all the way up. Right? So we combine those 2 ideas. Again, we have again. What I'm doing is 2 ideas. I'm bending the first E to F sharp and grabbing A, and then giving a rake pick and then bending them both up. One more time. So there you have it today, clip number 4, talking about pentatonic shape. And again, this is the 4th in a 5-part series about how to connect pentatonic shapes in the key of B minor. We talked about using repetitive fingering patterns in order to connect these shapes. We did 5 or 6 licks. Then we also introduced a sliding scale at the end there, resolving to a B minor root, over our 2 new scales that we learned for today's scale 4 and 5, Phrygian and Mixolydian. I hope you enjoy.